And welcome back to Chiropractically Speaking, the podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Prathap Addageethala, or you can call me Dr. Pratt. It's up to you. Today, we are going to be diving into a topic that you'll appreciate. It's going to be about you. So how do you get the most out of your chiropractic session? A lot of times people are trying to figure out value. How do you get more value? It's a little bit more expensive as a treatment option. From healthcare in India's standards, it's a little bit more, it's very rare. You can't find it very often, very easily. So how do you get the most out of you spending your time, effort, and energy coming to the center? And of course, your money once you pay for those sessions. This podcast episode is all about making the bridge between what you perceive as valuable and what you get as value. And most importantly, I'm going to give you with some basic, easy things to follow on how you can maximize your time with your chiropractor. Okay, so these guidelines that I'm going to give you today are going to be useful whether you're a regular chiropractic user or a first-time user. It doesn't matter. It shouldn't make a difference. All of these things would be beneficial to anybody who's even interested in looking into getting to a chiropractic session. So these particular sets of guidelines will benefit you one way or the other. So keep listening. I touched on communication with your chiropractor. It's sometimes a little daunting walking into a strange office to a new person who's doing something you've never experienced before. So asking difficult questions, asking questions that might seem like you're challenging a doctor's know-how knowledge, that could be a little difficult. But establishing a good communication pattern with your practitioner, whether it's a chiropractor or any other healthcare practitioner, that is, you should look to be honest first and foremost. Every chiropractic session will start with a thorough history. So anytime you walk into a center as a first-time patient, that is one of the mandatory things that a chiropractic or a chiropractic office should do. Once we have a really detailed history of everything that's gone on in your health, like your life, it should give us a very clear pathway on how we're going to be proceeding with your treatment. Now, if you kind of sketch around certain instances in your history, let's say you forgot about, you fell down in the bathtub, or you had a minor car accident when you were 25, these things will make a huge difference in your overall profile and how the chiropractor profiles your history. So ensure that you're being as clear and concise with your history as possible. Another thing that could really benefit you is understanding your own history, in the sense that when you walk into a chiropractic session, you know this happened in this year, this happened in that year, and you're very organized that way. If you have a bunch of health records, it really makes a huge difference if you have them in order and organized prior to getting into the office. I recommend always organizing your files sequentially, chronologically, from most recent to least recent. That way, all the most relevant data is right at the top, and we can always go back in history if we're looking to compare from report to report. So that's always a good thing. Now, being clear on what your goals are for the treatment, that's another huge part of the puzzle. Are you only there for pain relief? Like you have chronic migraines that just won't let you sleep at night? Or is it a situation where I'm unable to sit cross-legged for my puja? Or is it a situation where, hey, you know what? I'm in great health right now, but I want to stay this way. We call that wellness, and we encourage that. So whatever the case is, make sure you're clear about your own goals. A lot of people, I'd say about 90% of people, maybe 80%, they come in for pain. And unfortunately, in these situations, pain is the primary objective, and pain is the repetitive theme of every session. So if that is your major goal, you may consider why and the reasons about why you are having pain, because that's what the chiropractor is there to elucidate. That's what the chiropractor there is there to help understand. So if you have this issue of pain, recurring pain, chronic pain, make sure that you're open-minded on solutions for that pain. It may not happen right away. Pain is usually the tip of the iceberg. Pain is just what you see at the top, and the reason for why you have pain is majority of it below the surface. Another thing about this is that pain is usually the last thing to show up, but the first thing to disappear. So just because your pain goes away doesn't actually mean that the problem is solved. We can talk about pain for a whole episode. It's a really complicated situation because not only is it biological, you feel pain, but it's a psychological issue and it's a social issue. So we always tend to use something called the biopsychosocial model of pain whenever we're applying these principles to pain and pain relief. So there's that. Not every chiropractor is made the same. So how do you know that your chiropractor is right for you? First of all, if you are a person who is experiencing headaches, for example, you can find out if your chiropractor has any specific treatments for headache. And if the answer is no, that's okay, because chiropractic care in general, adjusting the cervical spine with chiropractic care is one of the best ways to help people with chronic headaches or even regular headaches. So understanding the causes of your headache would actually be the primary goal there, not necessarily, is there a specific technique? Can you do one thing to fix my headaches? But that being said, there are chiropractors who have very, very technical know-how regarding the upper cervicals. Let's say we call them NUCA chiropractors. And they have additional training, many, many, many hours on specifically adjusting the upper cervical spine. Now, some people find this really, really effective, but not every chiropractor is trained that way. So understanding what is available, who's available, and where they are, it might make a huge difference of where you go and when. Now, India is a very special place because we have a very, very short few number of chiropractors, and not all of them have all of the skills that may be advanced in terms of the technological advancements and technical know-how that you may need in order to correct certain things. So if you're looking for a NUCA chiropractor in India, we don't have one yet. So if you're a NUCA chiropractor, you're looking for a new career, come to India. That being said, there are chiropractors who do specialize more in sports, have more of an interest in sports injuries, pediatrics. Our own Dr. Teresa Wan, she is a pediatric specialized chiropractor. She's done a lot of coursework and extra time practicing and training on pregnant women, post-pregnancy, infants, children. So if that's an issue and that's something that you're looking into, that is you'd want to go see Dr. Teresa, for example. Meanwhile, we have Dr. Remy, who is on our staff, and he is a Gonstead chiropractor. Now, Gonstead is a hot button topic in chiropractic right now, and especially when we talk about popularity of videos online. So if you're interested in seeing a Gonstead chiropractor, we have Dr. Remy Kone, who's here in our HSR center in Bangalore. So again, this is not a promo. I'm just saying, there are certain chiropractors out there who practice certain ways. So if that is something that you're looking at doing, definitely do your research. I'm happy to answer any and all questions. If you have questions about our practitioners, leave them in the comments below. I'd be happy to fill in the blanks, and I'd be happy to have them jump on the comments as well and leave you personalized responses. Another thing that we should look into for your relationship with your chiropractor is just chemistry. Now, this can be the same thing for any professional that you have in your life, whether it's a medical doctor, it's an accountant, it's a lawyer, it's your tailor, it's your nanny. It's a matter of chemistry, right? If you and the person you're working with don't seem to jive, there's a conflict always ongoing, there's always an argument, there's always something that's about to happen, may not be the right fit. And that's okay. Not everybody is going to get along with all of their practitioners. That being said, with such few chiropractors around, you may not have many choices. We want to make sure that you're taking advantage of all the time that you're spending with your licensed, certified, credentialed chiropractor. These are very, very far and few between in India. I think right now, as we sit, it's about 10. There's only 10 in the whole country. So if you're seeing one of them, you're lucky. And if you're seeing one of them, take advantage of your time with them, even if there is a bit of a tight fit. That being said, if it's not working, it's okay to pull the plug. Don't bore along if it's something that's just not working. Okay. So in this particular segment of this episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about how chiropractic is a two-way street. It's not important that you're just there, you're showing up and while that's half of the problem, I mean, half of the problem is solved by you showing up, it's also important that you engage with what's happening. I know a lot of people who they come in for the cracks and they're happy, they're good. As long as they get what they're looking for, they're happy and they leave. But the second component of it is also about what the chiropractor is going to ask you to do. I always ask for 3 things from my patients. One is patience. Funny how patients generally have very little patience, even though I have a lot of patience. Get it? No? Not? Cut that? Anyway, the idea is really simple. If you are not patient with your care, there's going to be a timer in your head. It's going to be like, okay, it's already been 2 sessions. I don't feel any different. What's going on? How come it's not getting better, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That is a stress that you're going to be adding mentally to your new treatment. You've probably never gone to a chiropractor before. You're expecting some wild results, and it's really putting a lot of stress on your actual interaction. Cut that out. Be patient. Let the work work. Number 2. A positive mental attitude. Now, this might sound like some esoteric mumbo jumbo, but it's the truth. If I'm convinced that it's not going to help, guess what? It's not going to help. But if I think that, yeah, all right, maybe I'm doing my best. I'm putting my foot out there. I'm getting some care from a person who claims to be an expert in this area. I haven't done this before. Those are some positive ideas, right? Rather than, I don't know who this is. I've never done this before. What was that crack? Is it okay? Am I going to die? These are questions that people ask often. And it's crazy because that's a really, there are questions that are being asked from the back foot. These are questions that reek of doubt, of not sureness. This is a situation where any one thing that doesn't go exactly correctly, or something that's perceived as improper or incorrect, or something has gone wrong, suddenly this person is spooked and they're going to be not willing to continue with their care. Or you can draw up a number of examples. That is not really effective work. It's a waste of time for everybody involved. And I really want to encourage people to give it a try. Like, you need to give it your best go. So we talked about positive mental attitude. The last thing that I ask for is consistency. Nothing gets better without consistency. You can't get anywhere. If I hand you a guitar and you're not a guitar player, how are you supposed to play the damn thing, right? Well, if you played 10 minutes a day and you played every single day, at the end of the month, you'd be pretty good, or at least decent, passable. I won't say you're going to be, Carlos Santana by the end of the month, but you are going to be better than you started. But now let's say you only practiced once in a week. And now let's say you skipped a week because you had to travel. Let's say you skipped 2 weeks because the second week you were sick. Now you've only practiced at the beginning of the month and at the end of the month. How much time have you actually spent practicing the guitar? You're going to be trash. Let's be honest. So the whole idea is that if you are not consistent, how are we as chiropractors supposed to make it better? We can't help you if you're not here. So there are those things. It's good because in some situations, prior to a treatment plan starting, a patient may ask, I'm traveling on these dates. Is it okay to take a little break in between? That's great communication. That is an example of amazing communication because it helps the chiropractor plan, and it helps us establish goals, and it helps us establish expectations, because we can say, all right, you know what, let's double down on some exercises before you leave so that when you leave, you have homework to do while you're away. And when you get back, we can kind of put a bookmark in your treatment plan and understand what you felt like before you left. Hopefully you have a great trip. And when you get back, you can rejoin your treatment plan and we can catch up any time lost based on these bookmarks. So letting us know is a good thing. But also, if it's an optional trip that you don't really need to go on, you may prioritize your health instead and say, you know what, after the treatment, I can go on that trip. Think about it. So this is another big one, something to squeeze extra benefit out of your chiropractic treatment. And it's wrapping your head around the idea that this is not a quick fix. I don't care what the internet people are saying. I don't care what that Instagram crack reel shows you. I don't care what the guy who claims to fix cervical spondylosis in one visit says. Chiropractic care is a journey. It's a process. What we're trying to do from a mechanical standpoint is regulate motion in the joint, improve your flexibility, reduce pain. But on a neurological standpoint, we're looking to reset the program. If you have a program running for a long period of time, a computer program, let's say, it will develop bugs. It'll develop issues, delays. It might slow down your startup. So what's the best way to fix it? You can run a debug program. You can uninstall the program, reinstall it, which could be really expensive, and I don't recommend that. But there are different ways to handle this. Chiropractic is a debugger. We can look through the spine. We can understand and identify problem areas and give you solutions on how to fix it. And what I like to tell people is that this is not a marathon. You don't have to think about it as this huge, long race where it's going to be grueling and you're going to be, close to the end of your life by the end of the treatment. It's not like that. But it's not a sprint either. We're not trying to shoot you out of the blocks like Usain Bolt. Okay? This is a situation where it's a middle distance, 5 to 10 kilometer jog. It is going to take a bit of time. It's not going to be super, super easy, especially if you're not a runner, but it's not going to be super hard as long as you practice. So if we can get that into the back of our heads and just understand that we're doing something positive for our bodies, for a change, we're trying something new off the beaten path. It shouldn't be off the beaten path. It should be on the mainstream path. It should be one of the main options for your care. But we'll get there someday. I'm just saying, if you are in this mindset where like, okay, I have to try, I have to get better, I will get better, I'm trying something new, I'm under great guidance, expert care, you will see the changes. You will get there because you're putting one step in front of the other. You're making small changes. I'm all about sustainable change. It's not important if you came in with 10 out of 10 pain and after one session you were at, 2 out of 10 pain. It doesn't matter to me. That's not important. What is important is after 2, 3, 4, 10 weeks, you're still feeling 2 out of 10 or less. That for me is a much more sustainable change. Now, about sustainability, there is a huge problem with chiropractic patients, and that is this. Once you're feeling better, everything that we tell you doesn't go out the window. It's not the time for you to go back to your old bad habits. These bad habits could include anything from being on your phone too much, sitting longer than half an hour at a time, and, basically ignoring your posture. Your body requires maintenance. Maintenance is required. Let me repeat that. Your body requires maintenance and maintenance is required. Why do I say this? Our bodies are like machines. We are mechanical in nature, but we're a whole piece in the sense that one part of our body will definitely be related to another part of our body, even if they're seemingly unrelated in terms of function. If I sleep funny one particular night, I can have back pain, or I can have neck pain, or I can have both. It could be a situation where if I'm not stretching after my workout, I could have a lot of cramping through the week. Why would that even be the case? So understanding where your body is on that spectrum and making sure that you're being very, very consistent with your care is extremely important, even after you're feeling better. I'm going to leave you with a really stupid example, okay? Just think about this. If my problem, the problem that I'm presenting with, is that I have a quirk where I get up and I bang my head against the wall. And I keep doing it. I bang, 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 bang. Not very hard, but not very soft either. So over a period of time, you might expect me to have, it might be a bump, might swell, it might bleed. And then eventually somebody will be like, hey, get away from the wall, man. They'll sit me down, they'll patch me up, they'll, get rid of the blood, and they might put a Band-Aid on it, they might put some ice on it, and eventually the whole wound would heal. I would have, maybe a small scar or something like that where there'd be some evidence of that injury, but it would be gone more or less. But now, if I get up, go back to the wall and start banging my head against the wall again, what's going to happen? Right. You get my drift. It's not good to go back to your bad habits. It's a waste of time for everybody. So chiropractic patients who come in and say, is this a cure? Will this be cured? And I always say, well, that's up to you. I used to say, no, it's not a cure. Chiropractic is not a cure for your problem. It's a management system. I used to say things like that, where what we're going to do is going to help you through your issue, is going to help teach you this. And people just tuned me right out. As soon as I said, no, it's not a cure, they were like, I don't want this anymore. But I tell them now something differently. I learned from this. I say, you know what? It is a cure. But it also depends on how many times you use that cure. It also depends on how often you're applying the rules of this cure. The thing is about this cure, it doesn't look like a potion. You don't drink it once and be magically restored. It's not a magic pill that you popped once and you're, free of this demon. It's not like that. It looks like work, and people don't like that. It requires effort, repeated effort, and people don't like that. And I usually include exercise. Exercise is a strong component of a good chiropractic program. So when I add exercises to a routine, they don't like that. So the whole idea here is that if you're interested in long-term sustainable change, you should be willing to make adaptations and lifestyle changes in order for you to accommodate this extra time that you're going to be spending on fixing your body. If you don't make that change, you're not really going to get anywhere. There's an old adage, you don't get anything for free. In this case, it's going to cost you something, maybe a bit of monetary stuff for getting the advice from your chiropractor, but also in terms of time. Chiropractic care is part of your balanced, regimen. It's not just about, okay, you get chiropractic care, you're going to be fixed. There's other things that you'll definitely want to take care of in your healthcare routine, including your nutrition, making sure you're getting a balanced diet, you're getting a good balance of all your macronutrients, etc. You want to make sure you're taking good care. If you are suffering from a metabolic issue or some other lifestyle related issue, you're taking care of those things. You're getting enough exercise, you're getting enough sleep, you're hydrating well. Now, a quick rundown for all those things is that in terms of nutrition, I like the balanced diet. I'm not very much like vegan or paleo or all these other fad diets that have popped up. A balanced nutrition is extremely important. And I think that it can be achieved in any sort of situation, even if you are doing one of these specific diets. Sleep is simple. Most adults require anywhere between 6 and 8 hours. I think 7 is the magic number. So if you're not sleeping 7 hours a night, you're not getting enough rest. You're not getting enough recovery time for your muscles and joints. So definitely look into improving your sleep. I'll have another particular episode or another blip of how to improve your sleep and how to create a sleep program for yourself. That's a really simple setup. We'll not touch on that here, but getting a sleep routine is really great. Lastly, exercise. You are required to do exercise. It doesn't matter who you are. We start off as kids doing lots of exercise. We get recess breaks. We have PE. We have all these things that are built into our education. And suddenly, boop, we leave high school and we don't have to do PE anymore. It's not part of our lives anymore. We're in the rat race suddenly and exercise is optional. That's not how it goes. Right? We still require exercise. Our bodies are meant to move around. The minute we remove that from the equation, we're setting ourselves up for failure. We are setting ourselves up for pain. So make sure that you're getting your exercise in. That doesn't have to be funky, Zumba exercises or training for a marathon. It could be as simple as walking every day for a half an hour or doing some light stretching throughout the day. It could be as simple as taking your kids to the park and joining them on some of the activities over there. It's very simple. You just have to incorporate it on an everyday basis, 7 days a week, no days off. And the last part of this is stress management. I know we've talked about this a little bit, and this also builds into our pain topic, but I've mentioned this in previous episodes as well. Stress increases inflammation and inflammation increases pain. So if there's any reason for you to reduce your stress, it's also to reduce your pain. So think about that very, very carefully. And there you have it. That's the episode, guys. We made it. This is how you benefit from chiropractic care and squeeze every drop of value out of it. Make sure you maintain good chemistry and communication with your chiropractor. Establish what you're looking for and what issues you're having. We can measure them and track them all the way through our treatment plan. Make sure you're positive, make sure you're patient, and make sure you are consistent with whatever advice we're giving you. Follow our advice through even after you're feeling really good. And lastly, make sure you're managing all of the rest of your healthcare parameters, including hydration, nutrition, rest, and stress. That's it in a nutshell. I'll catch up with you guys in the next episode. If what I've said today has resonated with you or you derive some value from it, make sure to like, share, and subscribe and share the love. I'm Dr. Pratt. This is Chiropractically Speaking, the podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode.